Okay, the vegetables have been sauteed.
Yep, they have.
We did, through the magic of TV, we've cooked our salmon patty.
Yep.
And have one ready.
Yep, and that's right here, and that's what about a pound's going to look like once it's cooked down.
Okay.
You'll lose about a quarter of your salmon once you cook that down.
It
so
will
you won't
shrink
lose
a bit.
lot. You won't lose a lot.
Right.
And then I've got the saute here that we just got done cooking. I'm just going to dump that right on top. And both these will still be warm. That's okay. You're not going to worry about that. The main thing with this next process here is that you do not want to mix it too much. Now, if you like it all mixed up like that, and just kind of almost like a cat food, you know, that's your preference, and you can just keep mixing it up, you know, and have your thing. But with this, we're going to fold it, is what you call it. And that's where you just kind of just turn it, and I'll show you how you do it, but you never just stir
so you're
it away,
basically
you know?
kind of turning it over.
Exactly.
Turn it over.
Exactly. Just turn it over. Go to the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, and it'll all get incorporated. It doesn't look like it at first, but it will. So first, what we're going to do, and if you want to dump those in there for me, we got some garlic salt right here. That's
garlic
1
salt.
teaspoon of garlic salt. Yep. Go right in.
All right.
And then this is Cajun here, 2 teaspoons of Cajun.
2 teaspoons. So we're real heavy on the Cajun stuff.
Yes, we like the Cajun. We like the Cajun.
Right.
And then this is a ½ teaspoon of dill.
Dill.
So you notice it's pretty much the same things other than the lemon that I put in the sauce back there. So it's going to complement it naturally. You know, it's not going to fight it in any way.
Right.
So it's going to be real good. So now that we've got all those in there, we've got 1 egg that we're going to add to that. Just 1 large grade A egg. And we got here 1/4 cup of flour. And this is just all-purpose flour, just bleached. So, and we dump that in there, and then we've got here 1½ cups of Parmesan cheese. And this is pre-shredded Parmesan cheese right here. If you want to get your own, I'd recommend trying to get your own and shred it yourself. It's going to be a world of difference.
Right.
Once you put that in there.
Now notice this is the shredded.
Yes.
Little stick shredded.
Yes.
Not the can of dandruff.
No.
Grated stuff.
Absolutely not.
Use the good stuff.
Use the good stuff.
It's worth the extra money for
this. It's going to melt better. You'll actually see the strings coming apart. With that powdered stuff, you're just going to taste it. You won't really get much of the cheese action going on. You know? You want the cheese action. So. All right, so now the last thing that we're going to need to add is some mayonnaise. All right. And that's going to be it, and then we'll start folding it up. And this is about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup.
1/4 to 1/2.
And the reason I say that is because if you end up cooking your salmon too long, it's going to be drier.
Right.
So you're going to need more mayonnaise.
Okay.
So if you end up, you know, you kind of have to eyeball that. If it's juicy, then you'll need less mayo. You'll need 1/4 cup. Okay. But if you dried it out on accident, go up to about 1/2 cup. Right. And then you'll be good.
So that's kind of a save.
It is a save. Absolutely, absolutely.
Great.
So I'm going to go ahead and just do, like I said, just do the half at first. Just see how that works out. We'll just kind of fold it up a little bit.
Okay.
And see what I'm saying about that too?
Right.
I'm not really ever getting to the middle. I'm just kind of folding. And as I fold, those chunks of salmon are going to break up naturally there. And your flour's starting to bind up. So it's all starting to come together.
So it'll all kind of come.
Yep. And even though that's going to be kind of little chunks in there, it's still going to hold together perfectly fine. All right.
Now, are these ready to go?
They are ready to go. We're going to get a skillet heating up, and then I've got some Japanese breadcrumbs, and then we're going to get those cooking, and then we can turn our sauce on. Okay. And get that going. So that by the time the patties are done, the sauce should be good.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
But if you just want to take a little bit and just put it in your hand.
All right.
And just kind of, just work it around.
About the size of a
roll a ball,
lime or
I'd say,
golf
ball. Golf ball, So then once you get that all rolled up, doesn't all have to be perfect. Then you can just take that in there. You'll just scoop that around. And then see all that covers the patty real nice. Right. And that's going to make a nice crunchy little texture to it for sure.
Okay, now if you notice, these breadcrumbs, it's different than the Italian breadcrumbs.
Yes, sir.
These are a common brand is what, panko?
Panko, exactly right. Yep, exactly right.
The Japanese breadcrumbs. These are almost more like cracker crumbs.
And they are, and they're very good too. They're very light and they carry on very well, especially in butter and oil. They're not going to soak it all up and leave it real heavy. They're almost going to kind of push it away and just cook itself, so your patty doesn't soak up all that grease.
So if you use something like an Italian breadcrumb, they're more inclined to absorb the oils.
And the breadcrumb's going to be absorbed into the patty, and you're going to have pretty much just a patty falling everywhere.
Gotcha. So this, very light, stays on the outside.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's perfect right there.
All right.
Good job, David.
Okay.
So now, while you're doing that, I'm going to turn the sauce on low heat, and I'm also going to get a pan for our patties going, and that's going to be the clarified butter again that we talked about. Now, while those two are heating up and you're finishing that, there's one more thing we got to do.
Yep.
I got to make a little roux.
Roux.
And for this particular recipe, we're just going to use the soft blonde roux.
Okay.
And that's where we don't cook it at all. You'll notice in a lot of other Creole or Cajun dishes, they'll call for a brick roux, and that's whenever you cook it a lot. And it's very, very, very difficult to do.
All right.
But it adds a lot more flavor to it. Because you can imagine cooking butter, it's going to brown very easily.
Correct.
So you've got to cook this stuff for about 30 minutes or an hour, and you've got to have it pretty much down in an oven that's set to the right temperature and stir it constantly.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's going to burn, and you're going to be left with a big mess. So this one's real easy. You've got a cup of butter melted, and then you've got 1.5 cups of flour. So you're just going to...
1 to 1.5.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that'll be perfect for this recipe right here. And then we'll just dump that flour right in there. And just whisk that up real good.
Whisk her up.
Yeah, but you can't overmix it, can't undermix it. Once it all comes together, you'll know.
You just don't want a bunch of dry lumps in
No,
it.
no, absolutely not. No lumps at all. Looking good.
All right.
And then you see I made enough here. That was about 1 pound of salmon. I made enough for a good family of 4. You know, family of 4 to 6 to have about 3 pieces each.
Okay.
Some of the bigger country boys around here, they can probably put down about 8 or 10 of those things. So, you know, if they're got some country boys hanging around the house and old grandma's watching, you might want to bulk up the old recipe a little bit. So.
Well, I'm cheating a little. I'm making them a little bigger to hurry up. Rock and roll.
All right, so now what we've got here, I've got my pan heating up for the patties, and that's the clarified butter, that I was talking about. Yep, and like I said, you know, just do your thing with that. You can do it pre-head or just do the stick, however you want to do it.
Right.
And then I've also got my sauce here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put some roux into this sauce and just put it on very low heat.
Okay.
And the amount of roux we're going to put in here is about 1/4 cup. So not a lot at all. You're not going to need much. I'd say even, 1/4 cup should be about right.
Okay.
And then once you get that in there, actually, let's say 1/8 cup for this
1/8
recipe.
cup?
Yeah, let's say 1/8 cup.
So it's better to sneak up on it than to go too far.
That's exactly right.
And
Dave,
turn
exactly
it into
right.
mashed potatoes.
Because you can always add more, but you can't take away.
Can't
so
take away.
anytime you're doing anything, if you're nervous about it, add a little bit. See how it does.
Right.
You know, because you can always add more of it, but you can't take it away.
Right.
So that's a golden rule. Absolutely right. Yep. So now we'll just keep that on low heat and just kind of let that almost come to a bubble.
All right.
And that's when we'll know that all that flour is cooked out of it. So once that starts bubbling, we can just shut that off and that'll be good to hold.
Right.
But now we got this butter heated up here. So we're just going to kind of drop our patties in. And see that nice little sizzle
nice
you got there?
Little crackle?
Yep. You just kind of push them down a little bit. Got that nice and bubbling there. That's perfect. You just want to kind of let that sit there, and those will just kind of cook naturally. And you can look over and see your sauce here. It's kind of bubbling now.
Okay.
And see how it's just got that nice, it's not too thick, not too thin. It's just a nice little sauce there. So now that that's bubbling and got all the beauty in it, we're just going to go ahead and...
Let's do this with the whisk so the folks at home can see.
Yeah.
It's still runny, but it's got some nice thickness to it.
Exactly.
There,
when you pour it on your patty, you want it to stick on it, not just run right off.
Okay.
You know, so we'll just go ahead and turn that off, and that's easy. Now you just sit that and wait for plating.
Okay.
So that's ready to go. And now your patties here, depending on your heat, if you've got it on a good medium heat, these should take about 2.5 to 3 minutes on each side.
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and you can just kind of lift them up a little bit and check it out, and we'll get them a little more color.
All right.
Get them a little more color, and that all depends on you too. I like a good color on it just because it's more flavor, it's more texture, it's crispier. You know, it's just better all the way around. And on this too, you want to absolutely make sure that your butter is hot enough. If you don't, if your butter's not hot enough, it's not going to work. It's just going to make the patty fall apart. It's going to soak into the patty, and it's not going to be any good at all.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that very hot. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this one here, and you can just kind of keep your finger as you flip it and then move it at the very last minute. Or you cannot do that, but you might have the probability of splashing some of the butter up. So if you are going to flip it, once again, flip it away from yourself.
Right.
Don't flip it this way. That's going to splash the butter back onto you.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead. Those two are looking pretty good. Let's check these here. Yeah,
That's
that
a
one's
nice
looking good.
color. Look how golden brown that is.
Yeah, very good. Now we'll kind of let that go on those other sides there, and then those will be good to go. So you just want to take these off and just lay them on a little drip pan, or just a little plate with a cloth on it like I've got here.
A little paper towel.
Yep, a little paper towel. So now that'll just sit there and soak up all that grease. I'd say we're ready to plate up.
Okay.
And I'm just going to use a boat for these purposes for just looking good. I'm sure you don't have one of these at home, but you might if you do. Go ahead. So you'll just kind of stack those up in there staggered. So it's a nice little line.
Great.
And then,
Gives you a little dimension.
yeah, exactly. Now we'll just take some of our sauce here. And you can be generous with this or however people like it. If you want to put it to a cup on the side, that way they can dip it, you know. But I just like for presentation purposes, just kind of going right down the middle there. Just let it fall on the side. And
There it is.
that's it. That's what you're looking for right there.
Beautiful.
That's the home run.
Beautiful.
Your family's
Yeah.
going to love that. Trust me, your family is going to love it.
The homemade salmon patties. Beautiful. Dustin, thank you so much for having
Hey,
us.
thank you, David.
Sharing
Appreciate
these
you very
wonderful,
much.
wonderful recipe with us.
Hey, I had a blast.
Yeah.
I really did. I had a blast.
It was fun. If you've got a great recipe or a really great place we need to check out, send us an email through our website. It's yourplatesormine.net. Like I said, don't forget to send us an email. Who knows, we may come cook with you or check out your favorite place. Dustin, one more time, if they want to come eat here.
MillersGrocery.com. That'll give you all the information you need right there.
This is Laura Phillips, owner, co-owner of Miller's Grocery. Starting over, there's our first blooper. I'm here in downtown Christiana, Tennessee, in front of Miller's Grocery. This has been one of the central fixtures of Christiana for a long time. They serve incredible breakfast, lunch, and no, I'm not. I'm here in downtown Christiana, Tennessee, in front of Miller's Grocery. What has been here? What am I, Luigi from New York now? Okay. All right, we're in the kitchen with Dustin. Justin, I get it wrong first try.
First take, it's a blooper, hey?
Okay. Yeah, we'll get used to it.